developed to where he's I know there's been a couple interceptable passes, but in general it seems like he's doing quite a good job of taking care of the ball.
Well, you want a quarterback that'll take risks, first of all. So sometimes, um, you know, being willing to throw an interception allows you to have access to a touchdown pass as well. And so what I love about AJ is, and maybe this comes from that experience in high school too, is throwing an interception in practice at least hasn't ever rattled him. So there's never a time where he throws the ball, it's picked off, and he comes back and you can tell he's carrying it with him. He's resilient that way. But he's got a really, I think he's been well coached both in high school, and then obviously I think Coach Lynch has done a great job. He's put time and investment into his pre-snap process. He's got clarity when he gives feedback on what he saw, and he's really kept from throwing the ball into bad looks. I thought there was the one, maybe the first one we threw against Ole Miss, we threw it into cover two, and I thought they did a good job disguising it. I think a receiver would even tell you they'd prefer a quarterback that'll take the risk and let them play DB if they need to. Anyways, I think his consistency has been a part of his process that he's had since he's been here in January, and he and Coach Lynch have developed a really tight bond, and that's kind of manifesting itself on the field.
Like, where do you think he has improved the most since January?
Probably just in like understanding our offense and understanding kind of the nuances of it. I mean, he showed talent, and he showed arm talent in January, and he showed football IQ in January. But through his effort and repetition, he has great command over our offense. And the offensive line and the skill positions and the running backs, they have confidence in him in running the offense. That would be probably true of any young quarterback. He's also done work physically to reshape himself and to, work into playing condition, which has helped him. He's needed some time to really gain some expertise in the offense. And I think every time he plays, like every playing exposure for him is building into that knowledge base. So.
Do you have any further update with the injuries, like Christian James, Chase Gillespie, Steven Spagnola, etc.?
Steven right now is going to be out for the weekend. Who'd you ask about first? Chase Gillespie is day to day with his soft tissue injury. Christian James is fine, so he's been practicing the last couple of days and looks good. So that's the latest with those.
Could Jaden McGowan play running back or something? Like, I guess you're kind of running out. Yeah.
Yes, certainly. We actually when we initially were recruiting Jaden, it was as a running back,
Yeah.
And then I think as we spent more time with him, we realized that his skills were a little more conducive to playing in the slot and playing outside. But he certainly can do it. There's some other options too. Obviously, we feel like some good quarterback runs with Mike that are helpful, and we have the chance. I mean, you can personnel to if you get in a pinch to still run your offense, but to do it in more of a spread nature, or the ability to go empty and throw the ball around, which we can do. So right now we got obviously. A couple guys that have shown that they can play at a high level for us at running back, and we'll ride them. If we get into a pinch, we'll have a third back that'll be ready, and then also just some strategic stuff around, different personnel groupings, different formations that will allow us to stay with the ability to move the ball, but not necessarily feature a run game.
The plays with Mike that you ran against Ole Miss, did those work the way you were intending?
Well, I wish on the throwback that we would have blocked the defender and gotten the ball to him, because I think that would have scored. So that one didn't quite work the way we wanted. I loved when it was called, and I loved the potential of it. I thought Mike came in and got right back to form. He was able to pull the ball. he gave the ball and froze the end on the touchdown, the 4th and 3 touchdown. And there's going to be more for him too. We just finding that balance and rhythm. It's anytime you're pulling a quarterback off the field to insert another, you run the risk of kind of again running, disrupting the rhythm of the offense. And then when you have 2 quarterbacks on the field, obviously that's an opportunity to be creative. Pick and choosing your moments to do that too. We feel like we can develop some successful explosive plays out of that.
Based on Trudell Berry's recruiting ranking and stuff like that, I think people expect him to play before now. Is that a situation where when he sat out the first 4 games at that point, you might as well save him for the final 4 or later in the season?
I think, first of all, I think Trudell's had a really good stretch of practices. You never know when, particularly for freshmen that enroll in the summer, you never know when the light's going to go on, and part of that, it's not just about showing the flashes; it's about showing the consistency. And so we saw flashes from him in camp, and obviously he was designated as a part of the travel roster coming out of camp. But missing the first 4 was a challenge to him. Now that he's back, what we're seeing is, I think he's establishing consistency and performance, and I think he's had some really good practices here in the last couple of weeks, which means we're gonna look for him to play for us here on the back stretch of the season, and depending on what the corner play looks like, that could be sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of we feel like we have guys that have built experience out there on the perimeter. We feel like he's a guy that can come in and maybe help us level up. He's just got to show that in the workshop, and when he's ready, he'll be out there.
How well do you know Kirby? He's been pretty complimentary of you guys. Even I know most coaches say nice things about the other team, but probably more so than typical.
Are you surprised by that?
No,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you're friends or something.
No.
I know that you coached against him also at
twice.
Notre Dame,
Yeah,
right?
I coached against him twice at Notre Dame. After the second time, and both of those were battles. The second one, which was an early season showdown, we went down and spent time with his defensive staff and interacted with him a little bit, but it was more with Dan Lanning and those guys, just to collaborate, because there's a lot of similarities. And then, obviously playing against him last year and interacting with him as a colleague now, I think there's just mutual respect. I mean, he's been resilient in building that program. He's, obviously built it into its potential where it's a national champion and now the #1 ranked team in the country again. And I think defensive head coaches probably like to stick together, so there's an element of that too. So anyways, it's, he's kind to compliment us, and we're hoping to go down and play 4 quarters of Vanderbilt football and represent what we're building here down in Athens.